Rickey Henderson, famously known as the Man of Steel, is widely regarded as the greatest leadoff hitter of all time. His 25-year career saw him break numerous records thanks to his blazing speed and disciplined approach at the plate. Despite opponents knowing he would steal at every opportunity, they were often powerless to stop him from swiping second and third base. An Oakland icon and fan favorite, Rickey's swagger ignited a revolution in the game, showcasing a flair many players were too shy to embrace. His confidence and unique style, including the way Rickey talked about Rickey, set him apart from the rest. Thank you for the suggestions, and make sure to comment on who you want to see next. As always, if you enjoy, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Rickey Nelson Henley Henderson was born on Christmas Day in 1958 in Chicago, Illinois. His mother Bobby moved her 5 boys to California, settling in the Bay Area. At Oakland Technical High School, Rickey excelled in baseball, football, and basketball. Choosing between football and baseball, he left the decision to his mother, who chose baseball. Passing up a college football scholarship, he was selected by the Oakland Athletics in the 4th round of the 1976 MLB Draft. In 384 minor league games, Henderson stole 249 bases while batting over 300. Called up to the majors mid-season in 1979, he debuted on June 24th at 20 years old, collecting 2 hits and a stolen base as the leadoff hitter. During his career, he consistently held the leadoff spot in the batting order, stepping into a different role only 15 times. As a rookie, he batted .274 and stole 33 bases. Known for his distinctive crouch stance, the 5'10 Henderson shrank the strike zone, boosting his on-base and stealing opportunities. In 1980, Oakland manager Billy Martin introduced what was nicknamed Billy Ball, a fast, aggressive, and unpredictable style of play. Henderson declared that Billy was the publisher and I was the author. While some called him a hot dog, a player who draws attention with theatrics, Rickey played in a way that came naturally. His showmanship included a snatch catch, popping an imaginary collar, mic dropping his bat, and taking such wide turns on home runs that he once nearly ran into Mariners second baseman Harold Reynolds. Today, many players show the same kind of swagger he helped pioneer. Henderson's base-stealing success stemmed from his insane baseball IQ, relying on reading the pitcher's delivery to the plate rather than their pickoff moves. His mere presence on base disrupted pitchers' concentration. Hall of Famer Rod Carew noted Henderson's go-to phrase before taking off, "Rickey's gotta go." Henderson's habit of referring to himself in the third person resulted in many amusing stories from teammates and opponents. In 1980, he became the 3rd modern player to steal 100 bases, following Maury Wills and Lou Brock, and was later joined by Vince Coleman. Henderson drew 117 walks, more than doubling his strikeouts. He routinely walked more than he struck out over his career. With an 8.8 WAR, he was second only to George Brett in the American League. Rickey also made his first All-Star game and placed 10th in MVP voting. In the strike-shortened 1981 season, Henderson led the league in runs scored, hits, and stolen bases. As a left fielder, where he spent 84.2% of his career innings, Rickey earned his first Silver Slugger and Gold Glove. Though not an All-Star, he was a close runner-up to Hall of Fame reliever Rollie Fingers in MVP voting. Oakland captured the American League West Division and swept the Royals in the ALDS. Rickey hit .364 in the championship series, but the A's were swept by the Yankees. On August 26, 1982, Henderson tied Lou Brock's record with his 118th stolen base and broke it the following day in a 4-steal game. By the end of the season, he set the single-season mark at 130 stolen bases, with Vince Coleman's 110 in 1985 coming the closest of anyone since. Rickey's 130 steals were 76 more than the next closest American League player and 52 ahead of Tim Raines for the MLB lead. He also topped MLB with 116 walks and finished 10th in MVP voting. In 1983, Henderson logged his 3rd 100-steal season, a feat replicated only by Vince Coleman in the modern era. He led MLB with 108 stolen bases and the AL with 103 walks. Off the field, he married his high school sweetheart Pamela, and they have 3 daughters together. In 1984, Rickey led the league with 66 stolen bases. In the offseason, he was traded to the Yankees and signed a 5-year, $8.6 million extension. New York hoped he would lead them to a World Series title, but they did not make the playoffs during his 4 full seasons with the team. Reuniting with manager Billy Martin, Henderson scored 146 runs in 1985, the highest in a season since Ted Williams' 150 in 1949. In the 39 years after, only 4 players have matched his total. Rickey led all position players with 9.9 WAR and topped the AL with 80 steals, becoming the first player with 20 home runs and 80 stolen bases in a season. His 88.89% success rate was a career best and ranks 2nd all-time among players with at least 75 attempts, behind Willie Taveras in 2008. Henderson took home his second Silver Slugger and finished third in MVP voting, behind George Brett and teammate Don Mattingly. On April 26, 1986, Rickey surpassed Maury Wills on the career stolen base leaderboard. Wills previously set the single-season record with 104 in 1962. Remarkably, Henderson reached this milestone during his age 27 season. For the year, he led the majors with 130 runs scored and stole an AL Best 87 bases. Henderson, the founder of the 2080 Club, accomplished this feat in consecutive seasons. Eric Davis joined the ranks that same year, but no player has done so since. All the violent headfirst slides took a toll on Rickey's body, affecting his durability. He played at least 150 games in just 4 seasons. In 1987, a lingering hamstring injury limited him to 95 games, but he still recorded 41 stolen bases, 5th in the AL. Harold Reynolds led with 60 steals, marking the only time in the 1980s someone other than Rickey won the stolen base crown in the American League. Reynolds fondly recalled the phone call he received. "Henderson here, 60 stolen bases? You ought to be ashamed. Rickey has 60 at the All-Star break," before hanging up. In 1988, Henderson batted .305 and accumulated an MLB best 93 stolen bases, 12 more than Vince Coleman. The next closest in the American League had less than half of Rickey's total. On April 28, 1989, Henderson hit his 36th leadoff home run, surpassing Bobby Bonds for the most all-time. In June, he was traded to the Athletics amid media criticism labeling him as not a good teammate. When A's manager Tony La Russa met Rickey, he gave him the green light to steal bases whenever possible. Henderson responded, "Rickey want to sign cause Rickey a team player." This led to a hilarious misunderstanding in his 4th game back when he stole 3 bases, misinterpreting the takeoff sign, which meant not to run, as a cue to take off and steal the base. On July 29th, facing Randy Johnson, Rickey walked 4 times, scored 4 runs, and stole a career-high 5 bases without an official at-bat, the only such game in MLB history. Henderson led the majors with 113 runs and 77 stolen bases, while besting the American League in walks and position player WAR. His 9th-place finish in MVP voting seems controversial in hindsight. The Athletics won 99 games, clinched the AL West, and faced the Toronto Blue Jays in the championship series. In 5 games, Rickey was unstoppable, posting a .609 on-base percentage, 8 runs scored, and 8 stolen bases. In Game 4, the ALCS MVP delivered a 2-homer, 4 RBI performance in Oakland's 6-5 victory. In the Fall Classic against the San Francisco Giants, an earthquake in the Bay Area disrupted the series but did not hinder the team's momentum. Rickey's .474 average from the leadoff spot was pivotal in Oakland's 4-game sweep, securing the franchise's first title since 1974. Henderson's 11 stolen bases in a single postseason set a record, later tied by Kenny Lofton in 1995, though Lofton had 28 more plate appearances. In 1990, Rickey Henderson took his game to the next level. On May 29th, he stole his 893rd base, passing Ty Cobb as the American League's all-time leader. He paced MLB with 119 runs scored, a .439 on-base percentage, 1.016 OPS, and a 189 OPS+. His adjusted OPS is higher than the career bests of Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. Henderson's 9.9 WAR led all position players, and his AL Best 65 stolen bases trailed only Vince Coleman. He set a record with his 3rd season of 20 home runs and 60 steals. Rickey added a 3rd Silver Slugger and the AL MVP award to his mantle. With 103 wins, the A's overpowered the Red Sox in the ALCS, allowing just 4 runs total to sweep their way to the World Series. However, they were given a taste of their own medicine, as the underdog Cincinnati Reds swept them in 4 games. In 1991, Henderson earned his 10th All-Star nod, which was surprisingly the last of his career. On May 1st, Rickey became the stolen base king with number 939, breaking Lou Brock's career record on the same day Nolan Ryan became the oldest player to throw a no-hitter. In his speech, Henderson famously proclaimed,
"Lou Brock was the symbol of great base stealing, but today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you."
While his words were never intended to undermine Brock's legacy, they boldly asserted Henderson's place as the greatest base stealer. With MLB now using larger bases and limiting pickoff attempts, it is fascinating to wonder how many more stolen bases Rickey could have racked up under today's rules. On October 5th, Henderson reached base in all 6 plate appearances, finishing 4 for 4 with 2 walks and falling a triple shy of the cycle. It was his 19th game with 4 or more steals, the most in MLB history. His 58 stolen bases led the league, and from 1980 to 1991, he averaged 80 steals per season and 94 per 162 games. In 1992, injuries cost Rickey 45 games, but he still produced a .283 average, .426 on-base percentage, 48 stolen bases, and a .155 OPS+. On June 16, 1993, Henderson's 1,066th steal surpassed Nippon professional baseball legend Yutaka Fukumoto, making him the world stolen base leader. On July 5th, he became the second player to hit a leadoff home run in both games of a doubleheader, 80 years after Harry Hooper became the first. Only Brady Anderson and Ronald Acuña Jr. have accomplished this feat since. On July 31st, Henderson was traded to the Blue Jays, who won 95 games and claimed the AL East division crown. After defeating the White Sox in the ALCS, they faced the Phillies in the Fall Classic. In Game 6, trailing 6-5 in the ninth inning, Rickey drew a 4-pitch walk and created a major distraction for pitcher Mitch Williams. With one out, Paul Molitor singled, setting up Joe Carter's iconic 3-run walk-off homer, securing Toronto's second straight title. Both of Rickey's World Series rings came in years when he was traded mid-season and made a key October impact. In the offseason, Henderson signed a 2-year deal with the Athletics for 1994 and 95, both strike-shortened seasons. In 1996, he joined the Padres, marking his first time in the National League. Rickey's .241 average was uncharacteristic, but he remained productive with a .410 on-base percentage and 37 stolen bases. Teammate Tony Gwynn remembered Henderson's incredible work ethic and positive clubhouse presence. Unfortunately, San Diego fell to the Cardinals in the division series. In 1997, while splitting time between the Padres and the Angels, Rickey stole 45 bases and maintained a .400 on-base percentage. In 1998, Rickey returned for his 4th stint in Oakland, leading the AL in walks and stealing an MLB best 66 bases, the most ever by a player aged 39 or older. Davey Lopes holds the second most, with 47 steals at age 40 in 1985. Henderson's 12 seasons leading in stolen bases is an all-time record, with Max Carey's 10 in second place. In 1999, now with the New York Mets, Rickey delivered a .315 average, .423 on-base percentage, and 37 stolen bases, representing one of the best offensive seasons by a 40-year-old in recent memory. In the NLDS against the Diamondbacks, Rickey stole 6 bases and scored 5 runs. The Mets advanced but lost to the Braves in the NLCS. In May of 2000, the Mets released Rickey due to issues with judgment, salary disputes, and a perceived lack of hustle. He quickly signed with the Seattle Mariners, where on July 31st, he notched his 71st and final game with 3 or more steals, extending his record well ahead of Vince Coleman's 43. In the ALCS, Rickey played a part-time role as the Mariners fell to the Yankees. In 2001, Henderson reunited with the Padres and recorded his 23rd consecutive season with 20 or more stolen bases, the most in history. On April 25th, he drew walk number 2,063, surpassing Babe Ruth to become the all-time leader, a record Barry Bonds would break 3 years later. To his credit, Rickey was unintentionally walked more than any other player. On October 4th, he homered to score the 2,246th run of his career, dethroning Cobb on the all-time list. Making the milestone with his characteristic pizzazz, Rickey slid into home plate. On October 7th, honoring Tony Gwynn's final game, Henderson initially offered to sit out, but Mr. Padre persuaded him to play. Rickey celebrated by collecting his 3,000th career hit with a double, joining a club that features 33 players as of 2024. After a season with the Red Sox and a brief stint in the Atlantic League, Rickey signed with the Dodgers in July of 2003, marking his 9th team. The 44-year-old's final stolen base came when he capitalized on a pickoff attempt by Rockies pitcher Cory Vance, beating first baseman Todd Helton's throw to second base. Henderson stole an MLB record 109 bases after turning 40, 19 more than the runner-up Cap Anson. He played his final MLB game on September 19, 2003, and in his only plate appearance was hit by a pitch and fittingly scored a run. Rickey Henderson's 25-season career is historic, achieved by only 10 players and just 7 post-1900. He batted .279, amassing 3,055 hits, 297 home runs, 1,115 RBIs, 1,406 stolen bases, 2,295 runs, 2,190 walks, and 111.1 WAR. His .401 on-base percentage exceeds that of other great leadoff hitters like Lou Brock, Pete Rose, Tim Raines, and Ichiro Suzuki. Henderson is the all-time leader in runs scored, stolen bases, and unsurprisingly, times caught stealing. Remarkably, if a player stole 50 bases every year for 28 seasons, they would still fall 6 short of the record. His 81 leadoff home runs also topped the list, well ahead of second-place George Springer. His record 322 steals of third base outnumbered Tony Gwynn's entire stolen base count and are just 17 short of Willie Mays' total at any base. Not including double steals, Rickey had a higher success rate swiping third base than second, at 82% compared to 80.5%. His 796 walks leading off an inning eclipsed the career numbers of Hall of Famers Lou Brock, Roberto Clemente, Luis Aparicio, Ernie Banks, Kirby Puckett, and Ryne Sandberg. Henderson's resume includes 10 All-Star appearances, 3 Silver Sluggers, 2 World Series rings, an MVP, Gold Glove, and an ALCS MVP. In 2009, Rickey was enshrined in the Hall of Fame during his first year of eligibility, and the Athletics retired as number 24. In 2017, the A's honored him by renaming their playing surface at Oakland Coliseum to Rickey Henderson Field. In 2024, the A's played their final season at the Coliseum. While there are countless Rickey stories, here are a few of the wildest. In the early 1980s, Rickey hung a $1 million bonus check on the wall in his house instead of cashing it, causing momentary panic in the Athletics accounting department. When asked about Ken Caminiti's estimate that 50% of MLB players use steroids, he responded, "Well, Rickey's not one of them, so that's 49% right there." In 1993, he got frostbite from sleeping on an ice pack, missing 3 games in mid-August. In 1999, while with the Mets, Rickey was heard asking, "Who's he?" after hitting coach Tom Robson was fired. In 2000, after striking out with the Mariners, he consoled himself by saying, "Don't worry, Rickey, you're still the best." Rickey Henderson captivated fans and became a cherished baseball icon with his electrifying base running and larger-than-life personality. As today's players flaunt their own style, we can only guess what the Man of Steel is thinking. Rickey says that Rickey would still be stealing the spotlight. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.